will die and he will rise in 3 days, but because of a shrouded mind, because of a mind that does not think clearly, even when he appears among them, what do? They still do not believe it. And it is only until Jesus touches their minds and opens up their mind that they are able to see what God has bestowed in them. So this is really what I'm going to be talking about. I will not spend much time talking about actual health or actual factors that influence our health. I want to talk about those things that influence our spiritual health in our minds, because if we can be able to obtain stable minds, then I'm sure we'll be able to propagate all those other things that enhance the other aspects of our health. Now, sometimes for me to appreciate something better, to me sometimes I do it if I can look at something that's different. You know, it's like contrasting. If you look at something opposite, maybe it will help you understand something better so that you can be able to see what the differences are. So I want to take you through two stories quickly, and then we'll conclude and finish. Number one, I want to have us reflect about an old story, which sometimes we glean through and we don't always read them very clearly because they're very interesting Old Testament stories. I want to take you to the book of Judges, chapter 17. Judges, chapter 17. Nowadays, this technology, it always, you know, the old days we used to have to grab all the books and you have to look at, which is a good thing, so that you know where your Bible is. But we can always find some of these things fairly easy if you have the electronic media. Now, Judges, chapter 17, talks about a gentleman named Micah, or Micah, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Now, I want us to see how when the mind is shrouded, how it acts. And in this story, we are going to see three interesting characters. In this story is a mother who had been blessed in an excellent way, but lost some of her belongings. And what happens is that when this mother receives what she has lost, she dedicates it to the wrong causes of her son. I want to see three characters that are really, really kind of in an unstable mind. Then we will see a man of God who had been dedicated for the right purposes. But then somehow he loses the vision of his job and engages in a duty that does not do him right. And lastly, we'll see a man who thinks he can bribe God. Now let us read very carefully. I'll read it through it quickly because it's very self-explanatory, and I'll say two things and we'll move forward. Now a man named Micah from the hill country of Ephraim said to his mother, "The 1,100 shekels of silver that were taken from you and about which I heard you utter a curse, I have that silver with me. I took it." Then his mother said, "Lord bless you, my son." When he returned the 1,100 shekels of silver, his mother, she said, "I solemnly consecrate my silver to the Lord for my son to make an image of a lady with silver. I will give it back to you." So after he returned the silver to his mother, she took 200 shekels of silver and gave them to the silversmith, who used them to make an idol, and it was put in the maker's house. So the mother gets the money that was guy lost, the child stole it, he returns it, and what does the mother do? He dedicates it to the idol. He gives them, say, go and make a god of yours, some kind of idol, and worship it. Is that a mother who's thinking stable? No. Now let's read the story. Let's keep on and see. Now, this man Micah had a shrine, and it made an effort and some household gods and installed one of his sons as his priest. Now in those days, Israel had no king, and everybody did as they saw fit. And this is really the highlight of what happens when people are not of a stable mind. Because everybody wants to do what? As they saw fit. So a young Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, who had been living with the clan of Judah, left the town in search of some other place to stay. And on his way, he came to Micah's house in the hill country of Ephraim. Micah asked him, "Where are you from?" "I am a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah," he said. "I am looking for a place to stay." Then Micah said to him, "Live with me and be with my father and priest, and I will give you 10 shekels of silver a year, your clothes and your food." So the Levite agreed to live with him. And the young man became like one of his sons. Then Micah installed the Levite, and the young man became his priest and lived in his house. And Micah said, "Now I know that the Lord will be good to me, since this Levite has become my priest." Do you think God is going to be good with him because the Levite has become a priest? No. So, you know, it's interesting when you are not in a good state of mind, how things can delude you. The man of God, the Levites had a special commission to work for the Lord only. But the Levite forgot his special commission, and because he was promised something to befit his stomach, he took a duty that was not befit of his calling. Brethren, if we are to explore the state of our mind, we have to realize what our true callings are. We have to avoid those things that shroud our minds and take us away from our true, dutiful things that we have, that God has bestowed in us. So, I give you this story so that we can see how even people who are noble can easily be mistaken or can easily adopt things which God does not want us to do. That's why in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 6, Paul says that a mind given by flesh is what? Are we there together? I'm trying to move you a little quicker so that we can conclude. Romans chapter 8, verse 6. Can someone read it very quickly? If you maybe that way, if you're intending to sleep, we can be able to cut that short. Romans chapter 8, verse 6. What does it say? Go ahead.
It says, "The corrupt nature's attitude leads to death, but the spiritual nature's attitude leads to life and peace."
So a mind that is inclined to flesh leads to what? To death. But a spiritual mind is one that leads to life. So the way we frame our mind, the things we spend feeding our minds can determine whether we live a full life that's full of health, or we'll live a life that is devoid of all the things that we want to discuss, we want to talk about health. Because really the way I see it, these are just the consequences of the benefits we get when we have a stable mind, which is blessed of God. So, brethren, as we read in Colossians chapter 2, verses 4, we should set our minds in the things above. Because if we set our minds in the things above, the things here and the things that we labor about, the things that we spend time about, the things that we long for, because health is part of what we long for. Many of us want to live a full life. Not even if it's not long, we want to live a full life. But if we set our minds in the things above, then God promises us that He will give us those which we long for. And so I want us to conclude as I wind up here, because I said I'll try and condense my sermon here. So I want us to look back to the text that we read in Proverbs chapter 3. See what the wise man has to say. So in Proverbs chapter 3 from verses 5, Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5, and we will read all the way to verses 7. This is what the wise man says. Solomon says this. He says, trust the Lord with all your heart and lean not in your understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own ways. Fear the Lord and shun evil.